use AI, use an AI. Like, I cannot tell you that AI assistant is like life-changing for us as an organization.
Welcome to Building Momentum, where entrepreneurs share the bottlenecks, breakthroughs, and lessons that helped move their business forward. Hello, everybody. I'm Javier Salazar, and today I have with me Sarah Dewhurst, who is the founder and CEO of Diffabilities. And I love Sarah's story because she thought she was starting a not-for-profit and ended up building a social enterprise that is changing lives and growing faster than anybody expected. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
So give us a little bit more context. Tell us what Diffabilities is.
So we are an organization that works at supporting individuals with developmental diagnoses across the lifespan. We do supports all the way from pre-diagnosis all the way through adolescence and into teenagehood and that transition to adulthood and beyond. So we've started by offering full-time day programs for adults or anybody over the age of 18 with a developmental diagnosis, something like autism or Down syndrome or global developmental delay, something like that. And we've built out day programs to help continue to work on skill development and skill building, a focus on vocational training, getting job placements, volunteer opportunities, things like that, and also building in some of those leisure activities into their days as well. We also run therapeutic programs for anybody really, but our primary focus is anybody under the age of 18 through family support for children with disabilities. And we do behavior consultation in home. We also do respite programming, also through FSCD or through PDD for the adults, where we're taking people out into the community and helping them engage in their community in really meaningful ways. And we run summer programs as well, all summer for kids, teens, and adults to be able to live their best Edmonton summer.
I love that. And one of the things that I love the most about what I know about you and Diffabilities is that you call your participants, you call them your friends.
Yeah, we often get a lot of flack for that. I've been told many times that we can't call them friends, and I always ask why. Why can't I call them my friends? And they say, well, that's against policy. And I say, well, at our organization, I wrote the policy, and in the policy it says that we have to call them friends. And we made that choice very deliberately because the people that we support are our friends, right? They are very important to us as an organization. They're very important to me as, the founder and the CEO. They're very important to all of our staff, and we create those really close relationships with the people that we support and with their families, and we make decisions on a day-to-day basis the same way that we would make decisions for our friends or our family members. And what that means, especially in this human services field, is that sometimes the decision that I would make for a client or the decision that I would make as part of my job is something that makes the most sense, maybe logistically, or something that makes the most sense based on a budget, or what makes the most sense based on risk management. But that might not be the same decision I might make for my best friend or for a family member, right? Sometimes for our friends and our families, we go that extra mile, we push a little bit further, we take more risks, we figure out how to make those logistics work because it's something that's really important. And so that's how we make decisions at our organization, the same way that we would make decisions for our best friends, our family members, whomever.
That's so refreshing because business ends up sometimes being so impersonal, especially services like that end up being so impersonal. That so refreshing to hear that. And so I was saying at the beginning, you started this thinking you were building a not-for-profit. Did you ever think you were going to be a business owner? And
No.
what changed?
I still wake up every day and I go, how did I get here? Like who put me in charge? and I still question how I got to this place every single day. I think it came really from a need, right? The community started asking, and we've always built this business, or I've always built this business based on what families are asking for. And so families were asking for things that the service providers that were out there weren't providing. And so I had worked at other organizations in this field and in this space, and tried to change from the inside. And it's really hard to change a system that's already running, right? It's hard to move the track when the train's already going. So it felt like, okay, well, change from the inside is really hard. So what if we started fresh? What if we started new? And we just kind of made that decision. And overnight, I kind of decided, and I went to the registry the next day and registered a business name. And then we kind of got started. And really, I think the reason why we're at where we are right now is because we haven't had time to stop and think about what we're doing. It's just kind of one foot in front of the other, and we keep moving and growing every day. And it's super exciting to have this business, but never thought I would be here.
That's amazing. And things are going very well now. We'll talk about that in a minute, but they weren't always like that. At the beginning, it was like every other business. It was rocky. It was difficult. It was slowing down. At what point did you notice that there was something slowing you down? Systems, maybe people. What was slowing you down, and when did you notice that?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing at the business was that the business relied on me. All of the information about the friends, about the families, about their contracts, about all the services that we do lived in my head. And I can't be everywhere at once. I can't be everyone or be everything all at once. And we also grew to a point, we're at a point now where it's so big that I can't hold all of that information in my head. And so we needed a system for my staff to be able to go in and get that information right away. We needed a way for us as an organization to capture that information from families in a way where it wasn't that I was going out and meeting with every family and having those really personal conversations. And we needed also that ability for everybody in the organization to know or have access to that information without having a personal conversation with me, because it might be that somebody's covering a shift, or somebody's subbing, or something happens, right? And you know, there's also that thought in the back of my head of like, what happens if I die? What happens if I'm no longer here? If all of that information is living in my head, that would be a really terrible situation for all of the families that we support and for all of the staff. And so we needed a centralized location for all of that information to be stored, and we needed it to be accessible by all the staff all the time.
That's awesome. And so at what moment in time, because help me paint the picture, you were obviously being pulled in all directions, and you were doing, what were you using before? Spreadsheets?
No, we were using my brain. we really were using my brain, and I was sending text messages to my staff explaining to them, you know, the profile of a friend or whatever. It was a very, very broken system for sure.
And you are, like you said, right, the parts, and you're cutting the operations and the things that are happening, the way they're happening and everything. So at what moment you stop and decide we need to do something about it?
Yeah, so I was on LinkedIn because, I don't know, I had never had a LinkedIn before, and then I started a business and thought, man, maybe I need a LinkedIn account. Maybe that's the thing that business people do, I guess. I was a teacher before. Never, you know, that networking, that social networking was not, or that business networking was never a big part of my life. And so I was scrolling on LinkedIn, and you had made a post saying, hey, do you need tech help with your business? I think I can help. And so I was like, yeah, I think we do. I don't know what we need, but I know we need something. I know that we need help and support. And we had nothing. We had no tech stack. We had nothing. So kind of reached out to you and had a conversation. And that's when we kind of started this lead expert journey that has really grown and evolved as we've grown and evolved. I think where we started with lead expert was very, very basic. And we were using probably 1% of the functions that the system has. And now as we grow and we scale, we're becoming more familiar and using more of the different parts of Lead Expert and really personalizing it for us and for what we're doing as an organization. And every day my team is like, man, hey, Sarah, did you know that Lead Expert can do this? Did you know that we can automate this? Did you know that it can do this? And it's really helped us make sure that we still have that really quick connection with families, where families feel like they're heard, their questions are answered right away. We have all of that information in a very clear place that we can access as staff. I also love that you can see the whole conversation and every aspect of support that we've given a family. So it doesn't matter if somebody goes away on vacation or, somebody's sick, I can easily jump in and cover because I can go back and read that history or see where we're at. That's been extremely helpful. And it just kind of started because I was like, help, I don't know what we're doing. And I don't know what we need.
I remember that post. I didn't know that was the moment that you said yes. You were obviously thinking about switching and everything, but I didn't know that little piece.
Totally. Yeah.
So walk me a little bit through how does it work now? Because now you said everything is in Lead Expert. Everybody has a little bit of options. You're even using AI receptionists to help people.
Yeah, which has been like incredible. Yeah.
You have 2 phones and you were on the phone all day long.
Yeah, all day, every day. And it was the biggest piece of feedback that we got was, I keep trying to call Sarah and I can never get a hold of her. And it was like, well, I still have a job, right? Like I still have things that I need to do, and our services are people facing. And so, when I'm in a family's home or when I'm in a meeting with my staff or when I'm teaching or leading, I don't have that time to answer the phone. And so having the AI has been really, really helpful because it gets people's questions answered right away. We also have a little bit of a switchboard where sometimes people think that they need to talk to me because they've heard my name, but they really don't. And so it's nice that they can kind of talk to that AI about what it is that they need, and then their call is directed to the right person, whether that's a day program staff, our intake team, or to our therapies team, or sometimes it is to me, right? Depending on what they're asking for and what they're looking for. But my call log has definitely decreased significantly. And I also love, now I'm just talking about the AI, which is a small piece of the big puzzle here, but I also really love that it sends me an email so that I can go through and see what it is that the AI talked about with a family. Sometimes I can see, this didn't land, or this family maybe needs another outreach or another connection or whatever. That happens pretty infrequently, but it's nice that I can sort of see that transcript of that phone call and conversation, so that I know what's kind of going on.
That's awesome. And beyond systems, what else has changed for you? What has that change enabled to happen? And what's the impact beyond the phone calls on your role and how you're perceiving and where you're taking the organization?
Yeah. Are you talking about in terms of like how like what we do with Lead Expert, or just as an organization as a whole?
In terms of like Sarah.
Yeah.
What is all of this? What has all of this allowed Sarah to focus on? Where are you paying attention now? Before you were caught up on all of that and answering phones, and right now I imagine you have a little bit more, not free time, you've reallocated that time to something else.
Totally.
What are you using that time for now?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece is that I can focus on future growth. So I'm not 100% focused on the day-to-day operations or on managing staff and sharing the information with them that they need to know about the friends that they're going to support. They can access all of that stuff independently, right? They can see all of that information completely independently. So that handoff and that transition to start a shift with a family or to learn a little bit more information about a friend that they're working to support is a lot easier. I don't spend any of my time doing that anymore. And now my time is spent making connections out in the community, meeting with superintendents, meeting with other business owners, going and touring spaces for expansion, having conversations with different organizations that want to bring us in to do some professional development for their staff, going out and doing consultations in schools, and doing that work that brings more to the organization and allows us to have a very clear path forward, which I think has been also very helpful for my staff, right? When I'm so focused on the day-to-day, sometimes it's hard for them to see where we're going. When I have the time to lay out that plan, they can align with that plan far more clearly, right? They can see themselves in that plan. They can see their futures, their succession plans, their growth and development, because I can see the growth and development of the business, right. And, can help them map out their paths as well. I get to spend time building leadership within my team, whereas before it was really only me that was a leader. Now I've built out some leadership capacity with some of my team members, and they're doing a lot of that leading. Just because I had that time, I wasn't stuck on the phone or texting or, honestly, I wasn't stuck apologizing to families that I hadn't gotten back to them yet. So, that's really allowed a lot of that time. And then on the personal side, being a human services field, being in the field that we're in, we're supporting a lot of families who are in crisis. We're supporting a lot of families with a lot of big emotions, and a lot of big needs. I no longer go to bed at night feeling stress or anxiety or shame about not being able to meet the families when they needed us. With these systems, it's allowed more people to be able to make those connections with families, and it's allowed our connections to be much quicker. So I know that we're providing the services that we want to be providing on the timeline that we want to be providing them. Obviously, there's some situations where I would love if we could be a little bit faster with being able to provide services, but on a day-to-day basis, I'm not going to bed feeling that guilt that I didn't meet the needs of a family. And I'm not up until 11 p.m. trying to get back to people.
That's awesome. What's more difficult, to build the systems or to believe that you can build something this big?
Maybe a little bit of both. I think without the systems, we wouldn't be able to build, right? I was able to go on my first vacation this year, my first vacation in like 6 years, because I knew that my team would be okay, because I knew they had all the information, and I knew that they knew where to access the information if they didn't know it already, if whatever, because it's all in one place, which was amazing. And that also has allowed us to grow as a business. So I think building out the system seems daunting, but it's not. It seems overwhelming because it seems like there's a lot to do, but you need to do it. And that allows the business to build out and grow.
Now you're talking about opening 2 more centers. 4.
We ran numbers last week, and it looks like it's 4 by September.
By September.
The time of it's June 17th right now.
Right, the time of this recording is June 17th.
Yeah.
4 more centers, Sarah. You have currently 2.
Yep, we sure do.
That's
crazy.
That's incredible growth. And so talk to me about that. You also have summer activities going on now.
Right.
That are, again, obviously the summer, you got to take advantage of that and everything. But this is beyond the summer activities that you have. So you're in for a busy summer.
Yeah, a very, very busy summer. We have grown tremendously. We've been able to make some connections in some communities outside of Edmonton. So we're looking at like a Beaumont, Nisku, Leduc expansion. We're also looking at a Spruce Grove, Stony Plain expansion. And then when we were running the numbers for our current Edmonton location and our current Sherwood Park location, it looks like we have too many friends in both of those locations to stick at just one location. So it looks like we need another Edmonton location and another Sherwood Park location as well. So it's going to be a very busy summer. It's been a very busy week. We only figured that out like Thursday last week. So 7 days ago today, I sat down with the team and said, okay, talk to me about registrations for September. And we pulled numbers and I was like, okie dokie. And I spent all day Friday online trying to figure out spaces. And on Friday and over the weekend and this week, I have a lot of space tours booked to go see spaces. And once we get the spaces in place, we'll get the setup in place. Once we get the setup in place, we'll get the staffing in place. And yeah, and then open for September.
That's amazing. And then your dreams are obviously bigger than that. You've talked to me about a few of the things that you're planning, and they're just very different from what I've heard on the space. And obviously I'm not deep into your space, so I imagine there's gonna be some other people thinking along the lines. But give us an idea of what you're building now.
So we've talked about it always in like a short-term, medium-term, and long-term plan. So our short-term plan is to open up more locations, open up more day program locations, where we're connecting with adults in different communities, and building out programming for them to be able to build skills, workplace skills, independent living skills, communication skills, things like that. So that's sort of our short-term plan. In our medium-term plan, we're looking at building out businesses. So all of the workplace skills that they would be building within program would then transfer into business spaces. So, we'll talk to our friends and say, what are you really interested in building? What do you want to do when you grow up? And see what they say. We've had conversations about opening up a pizzeria, or opening up a hair salon, or opening up like a market space, a coffee shop, things like that, a nail art studio. And so building out these businesses where our adults with developmental diagnoses will go and work, and day program will feed into those businesses. And so, once they've got some skill and some training and some education, and really the honest answer is once they've got some confidence in themselves, they can transition into these workplaces, and they can be working and providing those services to community members. So that's sort of our short-term plan, or our medium range plan. And then our long-term plan is to build out supported living arrangements for a variety of support needs. So we've talked about having some houses where friends that need more everyday full support will live, and support workers will live in the home with them, and can be supporting whatever it is that they need support with. Then we'll build out some apartment buildings where maybe there's a staff on every floor that checks in on the people living there at certain points throughout the day, and is able to support them in the way that they need. And then also have some tiny homes for friends that want to live independently, that we're right outside the door. So if they need anything, we're right there. They can pick up the phone, they can call us, they can text us, they can whatever. But we're not in their space all the time. They have their own space. They have their own autonomy. They can eat snacks whenever they want. I mean, anybody can eat snacks whenever they want, but they can, live that life the same way that you and I can. And then the idea of like big communal spaces, a big communal kitchen and dining hall where, even for me as a typically developing human, I don't want to cook dinner every night. I don't want to, I don't want to do all those household duties and chores. Those are not exciting to me. So we'll have teams of like, this team cooks dinner on Mondays, and you can cook in your own space. You can eat your own meal, or you can come to the communal space and there will be dinner there for you, and you can come and join, and whatever. We have always called it a little bit of a cult. But in recent conversations I've been having, I've learned that there is a term for that, and it's called therapeutic communities. So we're looking at building out a therapeutic community, and building out things in that community. Like, we would love to be an attraction. We would love to have a petting zoo, a resort for families who have family members with disabilities, and we would have all of the accessible things and plan accessible activities and things for them to engage with. And we've thrown around having a wedding venue and hosting weddings and things like that. So the possibilities are really endless, and yeah, we'll kind of see where it takes us.
I love seeing that passion. And I guess the next question is exactly that is why this? Why? I mean, you would be highly successful in a corporation, or you could be doing anything else and still be successful. Why specifically the disabilities world?
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot. I don't know. I started my career in education thinking that I was going to be a teacher for very high academic students. I was quite a high academic student when I was in school, and so I kind of envisioned myself as a teacher for advanced placement or international baccalaureate. And as I went through my education career, I found that I was often being drawn to at-risk students, at risk for a variety of reasons, whether that was addictions, whether that was challenging home situations, whether that was mental health concerns, whether that was, developmental diagnoses. I was always kind of drawn to supporting at-risk students, or students that the general education stream wasn't meeting their goals. And when I landed in school, I was teaching at Archbishop Jordan in Sherwood Park, and they asked me to build out a program for students with complex needs. That's what their school division had as a label for these friends. I was very, very scared. I said to them, I don't know anything about this world. I don't know anything about this field. I'm not even an elementary trained teacher, and these students need to learn how to read and how to write and how to do basic math and things like that. And those are not skills that I knew how to build. And they said, okay, well, you're going to do it. And I said, okay, I guess it's my job. And then I absolutely fell in love with it. There is nothing better than walking into the classroom in the morning and, maybe you're not feeling your best. Maybe you're not prepared. Maybe you didn't get in the shower this morning or whatever. You're just not feeling your best. And the students walk up to you and they want to give you a hug. They tell you you're beautiful. they tell you that you're cute and whatever. And to them, none of that matters. To them, they just like hanging out and being with you. And that full acceptance is something that, like, as a high school teacher, you're always worried about being judged, right? You're always worried about like, oh man, am I going to be cool enough for the kids? Are they going to judge this outfit? Or are they going to blah, 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 whatever? And so there's that little anxiety. You want to be cool for the kids. And these kids didn't matter. Or like it didn't matter to them. They accepted me for who I was every single day. And the more I got to know them, the more I recognized that they have such a special gift. And I struggle a lot with anxiety. I've struggled a lot with, depression and things like that in my life. And none of that matters when I'm with them, because they are so good at living in the moment. They're so good at finding the joy, even if it's in, something very small, that really brightens their day. And so I've learned a lot of lessons from them about like figuring out where my priorities are, figuring out what really matters, figuring out that maybe I shouldn't be so anxious and so worried, and to find those moments of joy.
You gotta have a lot of stories about heartwarming moments or funny moments with them. Give us a couple.
Yeah. So, man, it's hard. It's hard because now I'm like, oh, okay, which one do I tell you? I think the biggest ones are just the ones where we see them living to be their like true, authentic selves, and we're helping them be that person. One of the first very impactful moments for me was I was in the classroom, and there was a mom who almost never came into the school. I didn't see her every day or anything like that. She wasn't a parent that was often at my door, like my classroom door. And she was standing in the hallway and she was crying, asking to speak to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like, okay, like what happened? And I was pretty anxious about why she might be there to talk to me and why she might be crying. And so I walked out and I was like, okay, what's going on? And she was like, oh, oh, last night, my kid came home and he was telling me that he wasn't feeling good. He wasn't feeling good. And he was able to tell me that his tooth hurt. And I was like, okay, cool. And like, is it okay? Like, does he need surgery? Like, why are we crying here? And she said to me, it was the first time that he's ever been able to tell me what's wrong. He's never before in his life been able to tell me what's bugging him. And I remember that feeling of like, and she said to me, like, you taught him how to tell me how he was feeling. And so he could come home and tell me that his tooth hurt. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, giving them that independence of being able to have those conversations and go home and tell people how they're feeling, or tell me how they're feeling. I always say, I make the joke all the time of like, parents call me and I say, what's your number one goal with your family member? And they say, oh, communication. I just wish they could talk. And I say, oh, careful what you wish for. And then within, 6 months or a year, parents are going, why did I want them to talk? And I go, I know, right? Yeah, because now they never stop. But those moments are great. And building that self-advocacy, I love it when a kid tells me to F off for the first time or to go away, because it's like, yeah, perfect.
Now they can communicate. Yeah.
Right. And like, what a powerful thing to be able to tell somebody, like, get lost.
Totally.
Yeah. Those are really impactful moments for sure.
We give for granted so many of those little things, and they're so important, right? Like you said, being able to say no or my tooth hurts. That's amazing. So if all of this is working, all of this is gone from, let's say, chaos at the beginning to something that you're building again that is growing faster than you expected. What would be one of the lessons, maybe something that somebody that is currently living in that chaos can implement today, tomorrow, something simple, actionable, that they can just go and take the right next step, or the next step in the right direction?
Yeah. Use AI. Use an AI. Like, I cannot tell you that AI assistant is like life-changing for us as an organization. That is like a huge piece that you could put into place like literally tomorrow. Can't say enough good things about it. Use AI for your like meetings. I have Plaud, Plaud. It's a thing that sticks on the back of my phone and it records all of my conversations, and I can either choose a template for it to download the meeting minutes into or whatever, or I can put in my own templates and have it download into that. So we use that for a lot of our like goal document meetings and things like that. And the other one is, lean on your team, lean on your community. There's been lots of times where I've reached out and, I've been fortunate enough to find myself in circles with other business owners. And when I talk to my friends who work for businesses, or when I talk to my parents, womp womp, it's very challenging for them to understand what's going on. And they often give me feedback that they don't understand why it's not good. Even partners really struggle to understand as well, even though they're sort of living that life beside you. They don't understand. So find yourself some business owners that you can text and say, I need to have 1 million drinks right now. And they'll be like, let's go, because they get it. And being able to have those open and frank and honest conversations about how hard it is, and to tell you it's okay, keep going, right? Keep going, move through. You can do it. You can keep going, because there's been lots of days where I've woken up or been awake in the night, or even at noon have said, that's it. Shut it down. I'm done. I'm over it. And it's those people that have said, nah, you're not. Keep going. You can do this. So finding those connections and then really leaning into them. Yeah.
That's perfect. Perfect advice. Thank you. And where can people find you? How can they support Diffabilities? How can they get involved?
Yeah, depends on how they want to get involved. You can find our website. On our website, it has different avenues that you could go. So if you go to www.diffabilities, diffabilities.org, there's different options. So there's a careers tab where you can look at, different positions with us as an organization. There's also a volunteer with us tab, or you can support us by buying something that the adults have made as part of their work placements and work experiences. So you can place an order there, and that sort of supports the work that they're doing and supports them to, have more opportunities to go out into the community and do more fun things.
That's amazing. So that's diffabilities.org. We'll put all that on the show notes. But Sarah, thank you very much for being here. This has been an amazing conversation. I love what you're doing. I love the impact that you're having, and knowing those little things, or what we think are little things that can make so much impact into the lives of so many. So thank you for doing what you're doing, and thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
And for everybody listening, we'll see you in the next one. And in the meantime, keep building momentum.